And it's Sunday morning, 8:45 in the morning, 3rd of June 2018. This is part 3 of Chiron. Now this video supersedes any previous video I've previously done on the mythology of Chiron because, to be blunt, I didn't get it all right in the past. I made one or two basic errors which I'm going to correct this time. A big thank you to people such as Barbara Hanklau, and especially Melanie Reinhardt, one of the world's very best astrologers, for the work they've done on Chiron, which has given so many astrologers the basic information they need to form their own archetypes. Bearing in mind that Chiron was only discovered just under 40 years ago, so its meanings and its archetypes are still being developed by astrologers all over the world. Chiron was born as a result of a union between Saturn/Kronos and the dryad Philria. Philria rejected Kronos's, Saturn's, attempts to mate with her and turned herself into a mare and ran off. But Kronos turned himself into a stallion and chased her and came upon her unawares, impregnated her and then galloped off. So straight away, from the moment of conception, Chiron has no knowledge of his parenthood with regard to his father. And indeed, throughout Greek mythology, there is no sign of Chiron and Kronos/Saturn ever meeting up. In previous videos I've suggested that Zeus Jupiter was Chiron's father, and it's not, it's Kronos/Saturn. This makes Chiron a kind of half brother to the Olympians of Demeter, Athena, Hestia, Zeus, Hades and Poseidon, the 6 original Olympians who were the children of Kronos and Rhea. Chiron is the half-brother of these people. When Philria gave birth, she realised that she'd given birth to a half-man, half-horse, and was appalled. So she rejected Chiron from birth, pushed him into a boat, into a coracle, and pushed him downstream. So from the moment of conception, he was abandoned by his father. From the moment of birth, he was rejected by his mother. These are the two primal wounds of Chiron: mother and father abandonment issues. But if you look through history, you will find a sense of commonality with the myth of Chiron. If you look in the Egyptian myth, you'll find the stories of Moses being pushed into the river and being plucked out by the handmaidens of the Pharaoh. In Welsh myth, Moses/Taliesin is pushed into the river in a coracle and plucked out by the handmaidens or the assistants of a Caridian, the Welsh witch. It's all about the child being abandoned and then being found by the wise one and nurtured by the wise one. With Chiron being found by the handmaidens of Apollo. Apollo taught Chiron everything there was to know about being human, from mathematics, archery, warfare, politics, ethics, to things like morals, herbalism and healing. But which in turn Chiron did go on to teach other people. But Apollo never taught Chiron how to be an animal. He taught him how to be a human. So the human side of him from the waist up was really trained and developed. The animal side of him from the waist down was not. And this is the third and possibly the most significant wound of all, the dichotomy between human intuition and animal instinct. Chiron went on to become the teacher of people like Jason, Asclepius, Achilles, Hercules, and he taught them all that he learned from Apollo. He travelled the world to develop different types of medicines. There was a fight at a wedding in Cania between the centaurs and various other godlings, and Hercules decided to get involved and unleash some of his arrows that he'd obtained from Chiron with poison tips, but one of them lodged in Chiron's heel, and in 99% of cases this would have killed him because it was a mortal wound. But Chiron was born of the great god Kronos, so he was born immortal. So you're faced with a situation where he can't die, but he's mortally wounded. So, which, depending on which version of the myth you read, he travels the world for tens of thousands of years looking for cures for his condition, and he can never find one. He's mortally wounded and always in pain. During his time, of looking for a cure, he finds so many different medicines and healing methods that he becomes the authority on healing. He learns how to develop cures for everything, and particularly he's accredited as being the mythological originator of homeopathy, where he realizes that the best cure for something is that which causes the illness in the first place in a moderate dose. Eventually, Chiron is taken to his bed and he becomes despondent and despairing, and then he comes across one of his nephews, Prometheus. Prometheus gave the fire of the gods to humanity. Whether that fire was the knowledge of astrology, self-reflective consciousness, or fire itself, we don't know. But for in return for this, Zeus chained Prometheus to a rock. Chiron took pity on Prometheus and said, I'll take your place. So Chiron chained himself to the rock and let Prometheus go. Zeus took his revenge on Prometheus by creating Pandora. Pandora and Prometheus is a whole nother story. Asteroids called Pandora and Prometheus are increasingly important in fine-tuning of astrology, and I shall be looking at them at some stage in the future. Chiron chained himself to a rock. A griffin came down, pecked his liver or kidneys out for 3 or 4 days. Zeus took pity on him and cast him into the heavens, from which he returned around about 1978 in the form of a planetoid. The myth of Chiron talks about primarily the difference between human intuition and animal instinct. There's mind and feelings, and often they clash with each other, and underlying both of them is the intuition. Great. But at the end of the day, even intuition isn't as strong as gut instinct. Remember, you live in a physical body, and it's derived from an animal. A part of us are animal. And the more you deny that, the more dichotomized and fragmented you become. The more you accept it, the more integrated and assimilated you become. So at the end of the day, gut instinct, animal instinct, is as reliable as human intuition. And when you blend the two together, then you become truly superhuman. And that's something that the more we trust ourselves, the better our world becomes. And at the end of the day, there is a case for saying we all create our own realities. Trust your instincts, folks. That's what Chiron would have wanted. Catch you later, world. Bye.